When you have an informed opinion on any topic, then let your voice be heard. That is what we do on Express Yourself. Express Yourself is a production of the Drury University Department of Communication and the Drury University Debate Union, where we teach students the arts and skills of debating and then encourage them to apply those skills in various forms of civil discourse. This week's panelists are Christopher Cassidy, a senior studying criminology and sociology from Nixa, Missouri. He wants to get his doctorate in criminology and continue to do research. His favorite speaker is Ronald Reagan. Austin Cassidy from Nixa, Missouri. Austin is a junior studying communication. His career goal is to be a business leader. His favorite speaker of all time is Donald Trump. Amarin Link, a sophomore majoring in education and writing from Mount Vernon, Missouri. Amarin wants to teach 4th grade and be a published novelist. She's a big fan of Eric Thomas.
Haley Davis from Nashville, Tennessee. Haley is a freshman studying advertising and public relations. She wants to be a copywriter, and her favorite speaker is John Mulaney.
Our facilitator and moderator is Dr. Charlie DeBerry, director of the Drury University Debate Union. And now, here's Charlie.
Thank you and welcome to the program. We have a new member of the Drury University Debate Union with us on the panel today. Ms. Haley Davis is with us today from Nashville, right? We're glad to have you, and you're ready to express yourself?
Yes.
Always, all right, okay. All right, well, we're going to get to a subject. It's a serious subject, and on February the 13th, 2016, Anthony Scalia, one of the most influential Supreme Court justices in the history of the United States Supreme Court, was found dead. His death dramatically alters the makeup of the Supreme Court. CNN had reported that many people knew that Scalia had underlying medical conditions, and yet he did not have a terminal illness, nor was he expected to die anytime soon. By definition, his death was sudden and unexpected. Yet, with a sudden and unexpected death of a public figure of this magnitude, there was no autopsy performed. We allowed a judge over the phone and a law enforcement official to declare the cause of death as natural causes. So why was this handled in this way? And what does this do to the conspiracy theory industrial complex? So I'm going to ask the panelists to jump in on this and talk about why was this handled and what are the implications.
First off, Justice Scalia was an incredible man. He was appointed by Ronald Reagan, and since then he had been upholding the values of the Constitution and the values of the conservative values. I mean, because of him, we have held on to our values of our right to bear arms, and we've held on to our values of public speech and everything, and the right to privacy, and he has just helped us incredibly. And so it's such a shame to hear of his passing. But as to why he passed, and the circumstances surrounding his death are extremely strange. First off, there's no autopsy performed for a government figure. This is unheard of. Secondly, the police report stated that he was laying in his bed, his sheets were neatly covered and everything. There were no wrinkles in the sheets. First off, that's a little bit weird. If you're sleeping in a bed and there's no wrinkles in the sheets and like your hands are right by it, it almost seems too perfect. Something's going on there. And my third point is that William Ritchie, the former head of criminal investigations with the Washington, D.C. Police Department, said that he was stunned that no autopsy was performed. And lastly, there was a pillow over his head. I mean, come on, guys, what is going on here?
What do you got?
I think to answer your question is to the conspiracy theorists, it gives them plenty of ammunition. But it does seem to be founded in something. I mean, it's questionable circumstances, no autopsy, and it was a swing. It was somebody who kept things a certain way. So to lose him is a big deal.
Well, it was unnecessary to leave it like this, right? I mean, go ahead.
Another thing is that his body was cremated, and he was a Catholic, and Catholics also aren't very much into cremations, so that's also something to think about.
It's very interesting, Emma.
I think that anytime, like, we had flags at half-mast whenever he died, but we didn't have an autopsy, and I think that like, this is really obvious procedure for a situation like this. So it's just a very glaring fact, and just kind of like, you want to abstain from any appearance of misdoing or evil. So like, why would you not just go ahead, have the autopsy, and this not be a problem? It seems like this is far too much trouble and ammunition, really, for conspiracy type people. Why would they allow something like this to open up if there wasn't something to hide? Almost.
I completely agree. And plus, if you look at it, Scalia was the perfect target for an assassination just because he had so many health problems. I mean, of course, people would just assume it was a natural death. I mean, that's why he was probably targeted. I mean, there's something going on here. Again, I've just got to stress this. And so a lot of people are pointing to, well, okay, then who did it? Who ordered this strike against Scalia? And first off, the number one conspiracy theorist out there, or the number one conspiracy out there, is that Obama did it. And here's why he did it too. Throughout all of Obama's 8 years, Scalia has been opposed to passing judgments that Obama's wanted to get through. And a great example of this was Scalia recently voted against the green energy movement, which would have brought in $1 trillion to some of top corporations that contributed to Obama's campaigns. And so as a result, that's one possible conclusion that could have happened. Another theory out there was that Clinton did it so that she could elect Obama to the Supreme Court to help get her votes. And plus, to further this idea and in support of it, when Hillary Clinton asked who's she going to appoint to the Supreme Court now, she replied that she's going to appoint Obama. So...
But back on the Obama theory about having him do it, I mean, it's so close to the end of his term. Like, why would he choose to do it now? If that were the case, why, when it's almost
because it is the end of his term, perhaps?
Yeah, because he's running out of time to get things done. He's running out of time to get done what he has to do. He doesn't have the guns taken away from people. He doesn't have the borders opened up to Mexicans yet. I mean, he's got to hurry up if he's going to finish his agenda that he set in 8 years ago.
Oh, there's some amazing accusations.
That was a lot.
They're pretty far out there. But one interesting point about it is that he didn't end up going to his funeral, which I think is an important point to point out as well.
Yeah. Now, not everyone. I mean, you get Chris Scalia was not. I know this feeds into your idea as well, but you say Scalia was one of the greatest ever, and I into that in the introduction. I said he was considered one of the greatest justices. But there were a lot of people who really disliked him because of his conservative views, and so for a lot of people, they were. I realize I'm just playing right along with you here. For a lot of people, they didn't see his death as a very tragic event,
Well, I mean,
now we know who was the assassins.
I would say that while there is the number one thing that I would press with the entire issue is, while I wouldn't be so quick to jump on the train and say what we have here is an assassination, I would say that this is a very suspicious situation. And the thing that perhaps if I was just making a comment to our government, if for some reason they were to contact me and ask what should have been done differently, I would say that, just like I already said, avoiding this appearance of evil and misdoing, just to go to the funeral, do the autopsy, get this over with in a good way, so we don't have this sort of idea whenever we're already kind of having a conservative attack towards that party with the conspiracies and so forth. It would just be better if it was handled in a way that came across as more professional.
Right. And plus, we know that the Clintons have a long history of suspicious behavior. I mean, there's over 50 deaths associated with the Clintons. I mean, is it really that much of a stretch to suggest that there's just one more? I mean, in the past, there's been exactly 54 deaths. All those investigations, almost all of them ended in mistrials, or the juries weren't concluded about what happened. And so there's it's not much of a stretch to suggest.
All opinions expressed are not held by the entire jury debate union.
Chris is out there
This is
today.
a formal expression.
Have you guys seen the movie Wag the Dog, though?
No.
Okay, it's this movie, and I watched it. Okay, but no, seriously, it's this movie, and it's got Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman. And
Are the names really relevant?
It's relevant because it sets the scene. So anyway, Dustin Hoffman is he's like this guy who helps the president look good, and it's almost time to run for like office again, like it's election season, and the president is under fire for like sexually assaulting this Girl Scout. And so Connie, who is Robert De Niro, the guy who's trying to make the president look good, he goes and he sets up a war. And it's not a real war. He gets his producer, Dustin Hoffman, to pretend like there's a war in Albania. And he has the president on it. And they like shoot this scene, like an Albanian girl, but she's really just an actress in the United States trying to get her career off the ground. And they're like filming all of this in like a studio in like Hollywood, and setting up like all this propaganda, like, yeah, there's a war in Albania, so that everybody forgets that there was an assault on the Firefly girl, the Girl Scout.
Isn't that what the media does every day?
I
It's
know,
always,
but
hey,
then-
look at this shiny bell over here. Meanwhile, what's going on in this area?
But then they do more, and they have to get this guy who was like, he's called Old Shoe, who was like left behind the enemy lines in Albania, and so that way they have a war hero, right, to get everybody in on it. And so they end up killing him. He was a real guy, but he ends up dying, and they're like, well, that's tragedy. And then this other guy, Dustin Hoffman, he's like, I have to tell everybody so I get the credit for this. And they kill him too, but they make it look like it was a heart attack.
Haley is going to be an interesting
Furthermore,
person.
even if there was an autopsy done, there probably may have been a heart attack because, again, there are drugs you can give somebody that will make them have a heart attack. I mean,
right.
that would have been perfect.
All right, I want to switch this for just a minute. I want to switch this. Can this be used to the advantage of the Democratic Party in the upcoming election? That is, for example, if Obama chooses a nominee from a particular state, knowing that the Republican Congress will turn that person down, can that be used as a way to help the Democrats in the fall?
Yes, I think it can, and I actually would say that the way that it's handled, and like if there's any advantageous outcome to the Democratic Party or anybody that would be opposed to this man that died, if there is something advantageous that takes place in a timely manner, that's just going to raise the suspicion and feed more ammunition into this idea. Because if it goes by for a while and his death goes about in the normal way and everything is taken care of, and then slowly it just kind of turns out to be a medium outcome, one might say, then it's not going to be that big of a deal. But if it becomes advantageous for them, it's going to up the suspicion 100%.
Okay, and we could do, and we may do a complete show on the ramifications of what's going to happen with the court, and just what having an 8-person court is going to mean for a while. But that's going to have to probably be another show. What I'd like to do in terms of wrapping this up, I've got a question for you that I want you to address, and that is, Donald Trump gets a lot of flack for being unpresidential, as he. Depending, I don't know what that means for sure, but assuming that he gets a lot of flack for being unpresidential, whatever that means, and maybe he deserves all of it. My question is this: was it unpresidential for Barack Obama to not pay his respects to a Supreme Court justice by skipping out on the funeral? I mean, should he have at least gone out of some respect for the office? And why didn't he do it?
Well, I would like to first answer as to why he didn't do it was out of guilt. I mean, Obama's new to this political scene in which assassinations are involved. And so the reason why he didn't go is because he didn't want to express or look guilty when he was going and visiting his family.
All right,
I
Chris.
second that.
I think that's a bit far-fetched, being guilt, but I do think it was disrespectful. I think the whole situation was handled poorly. There was some incompetency on the law enforcement side of things, and there was disrespect on the government side of things.
I think it's just been a painted picture of disrespect. I think that it leaves too much room for suspicion, like I've already said, and I think that it all should have been handled differently, and I would like to see an apology, perhaps an explanation for what happened, and that would really help me feel a little more kind or
Yeah,
well
yeah.
towards the president.
And plus, Obama's excuse for not going was he was preparing for a vacation. There's no explanation. There's no reason he can give that would suit why he
We've
didn't.
got to
go.
rein Chris in. Haley, do you have anything to say about should he have gone?
Well, I think he should have gone, but I hadn't heard that he was preparing for vacation, and so that makes it even more disrespectful. Like, somebody's life, especially, well, not especially, but somebody's life should definitely be higher ranked than your vacation plans. Like, I don't know. That's just very disrespectful, I think. So.
Well, the interesting conspiracy show today, and I want to thank you,
Truth.
panelists.
It wasn't conspiracy. It was a truth. We know what happened.
Thank you, panelists, for
You heard it
another
here
fantastic job, and thank you, viewers, for tuning into today's session. If you would like to see more examples of Express Yourself, you can go to drury.edu/debate, and there you'll see a drop down on videos, and you can see choose from as many shows as you would like. And remember, the next time you have a difference of opinion on any given topic, Chris, keep emotions out of it. Stick to the facts. Stick to the facts. That's
Because
there
we
go.
know what happened.
Right. And never make it personal. Then, when you're ready, express yourself. Thank you again. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.